It's about that time. You are about to get highly educated with the Cannabis Closet podcast with CannaQueen and MJ. This is an adult content show with no limitations on subject, language, or actions. Opinions, views, and expressions may or may not be that of the hosts, their subsidiaries, and their guests. If you aren't sure how we feel, you don't have to worry. You can take a look at our faces, or we'll just tell you. It's time to get this session started. Thanks for rolling up and showing up. Enjoy the show. Hey, hey, hey.
Hi.
What's up? Next is already here. He was like, I'm going to be there early today.
I bet he sets his notifications to remind him
bet he
that
does.
It was 4:20 Mountain Standard Time, and it is time to tune into the Cannabis Closet.
Setting them notifications. I love it. Thank you, Next, for always supporting. You're getting one of the first 4-packs. You know that, right? Right? Okay.
You've been like our design support, our moral support.
He's getting one of the first t-shirts. He's getting we hooking him up. As soon as we have merch, he's getting the first t-shirt. Things are happening.
Girl, they say, the stars said February, March, April, we're gonna be balls.
They did. And you know who else said that?
We did.
Not us. We were like, when the fuck is this gonna happen? You know who else said that to us? Shannon Parrish said that to us. She said, spring is your time. She said, and when summer hits, forget about it. But like starting March, April, May, and then June timeframe, we're launched. We're going big. Can't go home. So come over. If you're on TikTok, come over to join us at the Cannabis Closet podcast. It is solo.to/Cannabis Closet 420. If you want to join us, the links are in that particular link. So we're on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live right now. We are having a show today about finance and investing in the cannabis industry and in the cannabis space, and how to maneuver around all of those things. We got some other stuff to talk about. Yeah, that's what the show's about today. We have a guest that's going to come on and talk to us all about it. So I'm super excited to have him on. I finally got to finish our Valentine's Day show. Hey, Nickel, welcome. I finally got to finish our Valentine's Day show. Oh man, let me tell you something. If y'all ever wondered why I fell in love with Marnay Madison, I think our Valentine's Day show really should have been a very good explanation of why that is. I loved both of those ladies. Keisha King, also with all of the knowledge. You asked a question about men's health and men's sexual health, and Marnay came out and just was like, yes, actually, I know about that. And then she was just talking about y'all need to steam your dicks. And I mean, she's much more eloquently than I just said it. But
it's the thing. It's reproductive health isn't just about women. Right. It is about y'all men too. And there are ways to take care of yourself, self-care, so that you can do a better job for your partner.
Absolutely. But when I tell you that that I was both not at all surprised that she had that level of knowledge, but also very surprised that anybody was just going to come off the cuff and talk about it like that and bring, and like she had information to share. I was just like, man, I love these women so much. And I fell in love with Marnay Madison the second I met her. And anybody knows me knows that. You can't say a bad word about Marnay Madison in front of me. I will defend her. I will also, like, I mean, definitely we've talked about this. Like I definitely don't defend her without accountability, right? You know, there's a lot of times when, maybe we could have said that a little differently. right? But why is that her problem? Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? Why aren't you listening to the message? Because probably what's happened in the many conversations that I've had with her, I think probably what has happened is she said the thing nicely and respectfully, and then somebody probably used her for her knowledge, or didn't hear what she was trying to say about the message that she was trying to, because she was saying it nicely. And then when she says it in a mean tone, or not even in a mean tone, I don't think she's ever said anything in a mean tone. I think when she says it in a tone that makes people uncomfortable, then they call her, then they come out with all this
assertive tone.
Yeah, like she's not being aggressive, she's being
A
assertive.
tone of knowledge and
Right.
education.
Right. She's not being aggressive, she's being assertive, but because she's a Black woman, she comes off, right, as what? The stereotypical angry Black woman. Fuck you guys with that bullshit. Like, fuck you.
Smart.
And I'll tell you,
commands a room.
she commands a room. And I think that there's a level of envy, and we got to stop hating on each other. Ladies, stop it. We are very powerful. The reason why, I asked this question on the After Valentine's Day show. The reason why a human being with an Achilles heel in their pants can rule the world is because we over here fighting about shit. We should rule the world, but we over here fighting about bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I don't like your tone. Well, fuck off. Listen to the message. I don't know. A lot of people didn't like my tone when I was a young girl, and a lot of people don't like my tone now. But I've gotten a little bit better at expressing myself assertively, and also with some level of, I guess, respect that may or may not be deserved. But when I was young, I was aggressive. She's aggressive. She's aggressive. No, I wasn't. When I was, I might have told this story on the pod before, but when I was younger, I was in the Navy, and I had to tell a young sailor to do something first of all, we were on a foreign post. So I had to tell him to do something several times. And the something was, if they don't have a tag in their car to get onto the base, then you got to send them over to me. Right? Just send them over to me, and then I'll get them all. And I spoke enough Greek at the time that I could talk to everybody. And I watched him literally just not even try to communicate this to people, just wave them through with no pass. So I went over and I said again, if they don't have a pass in their car, send them over to me, please. I outrank him. So I do have seniority, and I'm also on a special post. I'm not in his unit. I work in a different department on the base. So, right? We both work in security, but I work for like the Department of Motor Vehicles, basically. And he works a shift, right? Okay, so he does this 2 more times, and I go back over there and I say real nice. I'm like real nice. Like I'm trying, but you can see my face is changing. You can see like I'm being nice with my words, but my face is not. Like, are you stupid? You know? So the like 5th time it happened, I yelled at him. I lost my temper a little bit. And then so when I go back, he goes back to, he gets off of post, and he goes back and he tells his supervisor what had happened in his words. And so when I come in off of my post, his supervisor, who is the same ranking as me, comes at me and yells at me. And I was like, what is the problem? I told him 5 times what I needed him to do, and he failed to follow a direct order. I raised my voice a little bit. Yes, I did. And he was like, well, you don't have to be a bitch. Isn't that always the case?
Yeah, well, apparently I do. Because that's the only way I get heard and paid attention to.
My senior chief, who's a female, my senior chief came around the corner and took the words right out of my mouth. Nobody would call you a bitch for talking to you, for making sure that your sailors were following a direct order, which is important too, because you can't just like, I need to talk to them and know where they're going, what they're doing, why they're here, get their plate information so that we know that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a security issue, and that's what we do. We do security. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our job. So I've made people cry before. I got called into, again, another, I was a second class at the time. I got called into another second class. He was also a shift leader. I got called into his office. You made my sailor cry. What's he going to do when chief yells at him? What's he going to do when our security officer yells at him? Like, what, like, I made him cry? I'm like, and like, he like towered over me. Like, he wasn't like a small little, you know,
like, what were you, they'll be like, were you finessing, sir? Because that's only, like.
I think there's a thing there where like men don't expect women to assert, and also women of a certain demeanor also don't expect that from other women. And so when women like us, like Marnay, like Keisha, like Chan, like many of the women that we know, like all of the women that I know, when we assert ourselves, it's offensive to some people, and it makes them say, like, that makes them make up stories.
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
instead of and like choosing to not hear the message that's being portrayed, choosing to instead be offended, instead of choosing to say, well, no, there's something. Even when somebody sits in the room, the way I met Marnay was at an expo, Missouri Expo, and we had a show. Our fourth show last year was probably one of our most popular episodes, to talk about diversity in the industry, and we had on individuals from Missouri. And the reason I had these individuals on, I'm not going to lie to you guys, the reason I had these individuals on is because they all had a different perspective about something that had happened at that Missouri conference. And so, and other things that had happened outside of that Missouri conference, just within the tight knit circle that is the industry, both legal regulated industry and also ancillary businesses. They all, like, because it's a brand new industry, they're all still, intermeshing and everything. And so a lot of these people are very involved, and we enjoyed having them as guests. But we did want to get to the middle of the conversation, and which is why when there's an opportunity to see more Black and brown faces in this industry and in these spaces, are these faces denied entry? Like, that was like the basic understanding of it, or the question of it. And so a lot of players, I would say like a handful of players in Missouri, have taken issue, because she is somebody who will come to your aid. She is an individual who will help you out and guide you in the right direction, right? But then she will also hold you accountable to going behind her back and using the information that she gave you without crediting her, without hiring her, without, you know what I'm saying? And like, she holds people accountable. People don't like that about her. I love that about her.
People don't like that in business, but then and then they'll turn around and walk away. It's super great. I'm hoping we'll have them back again. Maybe you can have that, a panel again in Women's Month. We can get all those ladies and recap, rehash, and
let's we just had an idea today, actually, that we would like any women in the feed right now, anybody that can hear my voice, We are going to plan, and we haven't set a date yet, so we're going to decide on dates this week. We are going to plan a, oh no, we did decide a date. That's not true. It's the 9th, March 9th. On March 9th, which is our Wednesday show. It's the day after International Women's History Day. And so we want to honor women entrepreneurs. So if you have a business or know somebody that has a business, we want to invite them on. We're going to be sending the live link to a bunch of women that we know. We're going to kind of give them a heads up first. A bunch of women that we know, and make sure that they know what time we're going to be on. We can have up to 8 guests. So we're going to just have maybe like conversations with as many women as we can who are entrepreneurs in life. It doesn't even have to be in cannabis. It can be just you're running a business and you're running shit, and we want to talk to you. So that's what we're planning on March 9th. We're going to get all the information together and the flyers together soon, but I think it'll be really fun because we know so many women that have their own businesses, and we just want to highlight that. We want to highlight that.
They run their businesses, they run their families. Why we're not completely running the world is
because we fight amongst each other, and we let
because we've been doing, but that's how it's been.
Apologies to our guests, but we let a specimen of human being that can be taken down with a kick to the pants run this whole country. I don't understand, and it's because we've been fighting against each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. The divide versus community, relying on again everyone that keeps us secure and safe. They're like, no, we're going to take that away, rip that out from you. And then we question why we're not prosperous is because we're not connecting with our community, with our people, and our powers combined with our powers combined, and we really should be thinking more like that in humanity, and we get a lot farther, my friends.
Yes, we would. So I don't have the thing. Our guest is in the house, everybody. So we're very excited.
Throw notes up.
So excited. Let me pull this up.
You're in your email.
Let's see here. What am I mad about something today? What did I say? I was still mad.
As soon as I went to type it in, I was like, I totally forgot what you said.
I think I was still mad about Spectrum. I finally did get my phone, and it took them 2 days, 2 whole days. They said they were going to call me back. It was such a weird and convoluted experience. So they sent me the wrong phone. I got excited. I didn't read the paperwork, asshole. Right. And I opened it and I got it all set up. And then I see on the computer, it says iPhone 12, 64 gig. And that is not at all even close to what I ordered. I was like, no,
you won't even get anything on that phone.
Are you kidding me? 64 gig? I can't even touch that. I know first world problems, but I can't even about that. So I send it back. They charged me $50, and they also held me ransom. They were like, we won't talk to her about returning the phone unless she agrees to pay the $50. I was like, it's a good thing that I don't know. I'm not engineer minded enough to be able to do anything drastic. So anyways, don't worry, FBI. I'm still sitting in my cannabis closet in Colorado. I'm not anywhere near Spectrum. So then they sent me a second phone, and it never arrived. And it was an iPhone 13, not a Pro. So I was like, what am I going to do with this? I guess.
Right.
I wasn't even going to argue about it. I saw it on there and I was like, fuck it. I don't care. Whatever. But it never arrived. So then I call back and I was like, am I ever gonna, like, do y'all even want me as a customer? Like, what's going on? And finally got the 13 Pro ordered from, I think, one of the 5 good customer service reps that Spectrum has, because honestly, most of them were shit. Transferring you to some other department without telling you or that department why you're coming. Nobody.
They're like, they just pushed a random button and sent you there.
A lot of that. a lot of phone calls that lasted 2+ hours, a lot of talking to 5 different people who didn't know what the fuck was going on, a lot of that. So she got me the Pro, got it all ordered and everything, but she did explain to me, because I turned the 12 on, they wanted me to keep this motherfucking phone that I did not order and potentially damage it so that they could charge me full fucking price for that phone. Y'all can kick all the rocks. I'm not doing that. So I like immediately transferred everything back to the 11, but my 11 is not an upgrade. So it did something in the system and it like confused the computer, which kind of gives me a little bit of faith and hope, because that means that they're not quite ready to conquer the world yet. But so because we've confused the computer, now she has to order my new phone on a new line. So then instead of being able to just activate my phone when I get it like a normal human being, I have to call them back. They should be paying me. I should be on the payroll. And like, honestly, I spent so many hours on the phone with them. And so then I call back, and wouldn't you know it, the people that I needed to talk to don't get on the phone with customers right away. You got to get put on a list and they call you back. And I was like, I can't even argue right now. I'm so tired of y'all. Like, this is not how I want to die. You know what I'm saying? This is not how I want to go out, is on the phone with Spectrum. So I finally get off the phone with her. She says somebody's going to call me back in like less than 20 or 24 hours or less. That was Friday. And then Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, I called and I go, y'all gonna call me back to turn this brick in my purse on or not? Like, is this happening? And when you know it, the person that answered the phone was able to turn my fucking phone on. I didn't have to fucking wait in line for nobody.
What?
Yeah. I spent time on the phone with him, but we got it all figured out and done. And the only reason I spent time on the phone with him, and he's in the top 5. The only reason I spent time on the phone with him is waiting for everything to boot up and getting through the next step, you know?
Right.
So it wasn't like wasted time. It was like he wanted to make sure my phone worked before I got off the phone. I would say that's a good idea. That's a good idea, that if you just sent this like $1,000+ piece of equipment to somebody, that you might make sure that it's on. I don't know. I just, whatever. So that's what I'm mad about today.
I don't think that was the one we were talking about, but yes, that is something we were talking. We were talking about President's Day, of course.
Oh, that's it.
Month.
No, let me bring Zach in first, and then I'll tell you the other thing that I'm mad about. Let's bring Zach in first, though. This is Zach Post with Elite Home Growers Academy. We met him at an event, Communities of Color event. Oh, can you hear us? Okay. He's getting mad. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce him while he's getting that all together. But his name is Zach Post. He's with Elite Home Growers Academy. And when we first spoke to him, he'll be back in a second. When we first spoke to him, he told us kind of maybe it was on the interview, maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. But he told us that he was just talking to us about finance in the cannabis industry, and we realized how well versed he was in it. So we were like, we definitely want to do a show about that. And he said yes. That was last year. Life happens and things happen, and I think we're a little bit more well organized this year. So we pre-scheduled him to make sure that he had time to come on and talk to us, and we had our show ready. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to bring him on before we talk about my second thing that I'm upset about. And also, because that has to do with Black History Month. And also, we have some notes, of course, on Black History Month. So Let's bring Zach in so you can see his beautiful face. Hey, how are you?
How's it going? How's it going, CannaQueen and also MJ? Thank you for having me on again. I appreciate you taking the time to contact me and bring me on. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Super excited.
Well, we appreciate you for accepting the invite. We are stupid excited about talking about finance and investing in the industry. We are going to get to our main subject here in a few moments, but I can't. It's 444 here.
Yes.
Woo woo. But I can't leave you in the green room while we talk about Black History Month and this thing that I'm really mad about, actually.
Cool.
So
you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Perfect.
Yes, perfect. So the second thing, you reminded me when you said that about the person that we're going to talk about. The second thing that I'm mad about is that, y'all, it's Black History Month, right? The shortest month of the year, of course. Why? I don't know. But anyways, also, let's stick President's Day right at the end of Black History Month. President's Day. Let's celebrate all of the presidents. All of the presidents. Washington's birthday. A prominent owner of enslaved men and women. Let's celebrate that in the middle of Black History Month, where we have one Black president and one female Black vice president to celebrate in Black History Month as far as our presidential record. I was like, wait, because my husband told me yesterday, he was like, yeah, I'm off tomorrow. And I was like, for what? And he goes, for President's Day. And I was like, are you shitting me? Tomorrow's President's Day.
Yeah. It's and all it is everyone's like, what's it for? You know, and
why is the bank closed? I have bills to pay.
Right. Exactly.
So in honor of President's Day, we would like to honor President Barack Obama.
Cool.
President Barack Obama, the first Black president in United States history. Very well educated individual. First presidential couple that doesn't have any scandal in the White House. Like I'm wrong. That's not true. He wore that tan suit that one time. He wore a tan suit and the media lost their fucking minds.
They went crazy. I remember that. I do remember that.
I do not. I did not. This is how much I don't like.
Yeah, so that happened. He is probably one of the most well-educated presidents that we've ever had in office. One of the most well-spoken presidents we've ever had in office. And he got so much shit from every angle. I like the birth certificate scandal, the tan suit scandal, his wife's arms. I just like what is happening. The fact that I think even people were upset about the type of dogs that they chose,
right?
Which were chosen because I believe one of their daughters has allergies.
Right.
So these dogs, did you guys know that some dogs have hair and not fur?
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought so.
Yeah. So like fur is a different consistency.
Right.
And so some dogs, they're like hypoallergenic dogs, have their fur is a consistency of hair, of like human hair, and it doesn't hold the pet dander, or they don't develop that dander because of the type of hair that they have. And so that's why people with allergies choose certain types of dogs that have that type of hair. So anyways, that's the story.
So those doodle dogs don't have fur, they have hair,
or they don't produce a dander or something like that. Yeah. Like it's a different consistency.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess it might look different under a microscope. You know, don't quote me on that. I'm not a scientist. Remember that pic of him smoking a cigarette? Yes. Yes. Remember how they were mad because he smoked marijuana? Oh, there is one thing though. You know, if Barack Obama ever listens to this, you should have legalized cannabis in your second term, bro.
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How are you gonna leave us hanging like that? That's so fucking rude. I can't even.
But you know, it would, again, thinking about how it's not him as the president, it's the you know, houses behind him.
Right.
Yes, but also it is like the whole, like, especially with decriminalization, he could do what also his at the time vice president and now president has said he was going to do and has not done, and that is decriminalize and expunge. And they could do that with like a signature. They could absolutely do that with a signature.
Yeah, with executive order. They could do that.
They can absolutely do that. Yeah. And they promised these two clowns up here promise sorry they promised to do that shit, which I'm still holding on to a little bitterness and anger from a couple weeks ago. They promised to do that shit, and we're in year 2, and cannabis is very popular, is very well accepted, especially medicinally. They have not done it. They should be at least decriminalizing and expunging those records. Absolutely. They haven't done it. That's what they campaigned on. That's why we voted for them. We were like, I guess so. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had another choice, which was not great. So like, here it is.
Yeah, by default, right?
Right. But you said this is what you were going to do. You said that in order to get the nomination. You said that in order to get the vote. And here we are, and handing out crack pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, I'm not opposed with what do they call them? What do they call them? There's a certain name for them.
You know, the programs that allow
a program where they like it's supervised use centers. Supervised use centers.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to supervised use. I'm not opposed to those types of programs. But if you're going to hand out crack pipes, I'm going to need you to decriminalize cannabis. I'm going to need you to do that immediately. Right. And I'm also going to need you to release prisoners immediately who are in prison for having a crack pipe in their pocket.
Right.
I can't stand it. Anyways, so.
It's definitely politics.
Happy President's Day to Barack Obama. The rest of you can kick rocks. I really feel that way. I'm looking at my my saved pages because I save little articles and clips that I can talk about. Here we go.
Got
it. So we always, we want to do in history, in Black History Corner. So also, I say this every show. I'm going to remind everybody every show that we are going to be consistently talking about Black history after February, because without Black history, we like literally don't have any history. Like,
we don't exist.
It doesn't exist. So just keep up. This month is not special. We're going to do it every month, because every month something happened in life.
Right.
So I have a couple of stories, and if anybody wants to throw down, you're welcome to. We talked about this gentleman in a couple shows ago, and I did not know his name. So now I know his name. His name is Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson invented the Super Soaker, y'all. Thank you, Lonnie Johnson, for making summer more fun. In high school, he was the only Black person at the science fair. He went on to get his PhD and work at NASA. And while experimenting at home, he had the idea of a pressurized water gun and built prototypes with PVC and soda bottles. His invention eventually became the Super Soaker. And in 2013, he won a dispute with Hasbro, whatever, and was awarded nearly $73 million in unpaid money. Boom.
Nice.
I love it. This is my favorite. Wait, I can't tell that last one yet. This is also an update to another person that we were talking about in a previous show. Couldn't remember her name. Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone was a okay, we don't want that. Sarah Boone was a 19th century African-American dressmaker who was awarded a patent for her improved ironing board. So she created an improved ironing board that made it easier to iron sleeves and collars, and also dresses as well. In her patent application, she wrote that the purpose of her invention was to produce a cheap and simple, convenient, and highly effective device, particularly adapted to be used in ironing sleeves and bodies of ladies' garments. And with this approval in 1892, Boone became one of the first African-American women to be awarded a patent for an ironing board. She didn't create the ironing board, but she improved it. So a man made it, a woman improved it. That happens from time to time.
Nice.
I do have a list as well. Did you have any?
I had this one more because it's like my favorite fucking thing ever. So, people who were enslaved and were attempting to escape used to throw balls of fried cornmeal out to distract the hounds from tracking them. The hound would stop barking and tracking thanks to these cornmeal little rounds, which later adopted the name Hush Puppy. I fucking love it.
That's dope.
It makes me laugh so hard. Okay, and so this information was also, we talked about this on the 16th on Wednesday's show. I read this at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. This is the authority concerning all things related to slavery, and I advise you visit to learn info not taught in other places. So if you ever get an opportunity, if you're in DC, call ahead, get your tickets in advance, because that's how it works now. You can't just walk up to these places and walk in anymore. You have to get your tickets in advance. Get those tickets in advance and go, and like it's a day. Like Chan said, she spent over 4 hours there. It's a whole day. But yeah, go to that museum and learn all the things that they refuse to teach us in school, that they continue to try to block from students now. This is history we absolutely need to know. Oh, see, and I had a class out there. A few years ago, and no, it was a convention. We were at a convention. That's why you had Nugget, because if it was a class, he would have been with me. It was a convention, and so at conventions they're super crowded, and I don't like to take Nugget to those places. So he took him to the different museums and stuff. Yeah, very cool. Nugget learned. I wish he could talk. Maybe he would tell me what he learned. So anybody else want to add?
So when I was when we were talking earlier when about President's Day, I was like, well, then let's highlight some presidents of companies or our first representatives of business, and
like Zach.
Like Zach. And so I went to the Wikipedia area, and they talk about entrepreneurship and capabilities even while in the big while slavery still existed. So of course they're still smart people, they're enslaved, but and then with freedom, and they were able to take their talents and their capabilities and start utilizing them as business. So there are just a few notes of actually a few that were enslaved, and then a few that were born into free Black families in the South. So this is back in the 1800s, and they're actually recorded as being businessmen and owners of and creators of things. So the tobacconist Lunsford Lane, a young enslaved man, sold baskets of peaches for money, so that he could. His plans were to Plans for a money-making book took the principal possession of my thoughts. So they actually took what he did and expounded on it and profited from it. So, but in 6 to 8 years, he had amassed $1,000, enough to purchase his freedom. This is read from the narrative of Lunsford Lane, and that was in 1842. Nice. There's William J. Brown. He was a shoemaker born into a free Black family in Rhode Island. He still faced discrimination and unethical treatment, of course, as he pursued his trade and his career. So there's actually a book on him, Life of William J. Brown of Providence, Rhode Island, and that's 1883. Nice. So it expresses his frustration as a store clerk and apprentice shoemaker. Barber. After being emancipated by his enslaver in 1820, William Johnson became a successful Black businessman in Natchez, Mississippi, operating a barber shop, loaning money, and acquiring real estate.
Nice.
Dressmaker. After purchasing her freedom in St. Louis, Elizabeth Keckley moved to Washington, D.C. and became the dressmaker of Mary Todd Lincoln, producing elegant gowns for the capital's elite women. Her 1868 autobiography, Behind the Scenes, displays her ardor and initiative in creating her business and her life.
That's so interesting.
That is. That's pretty.
So yeah. Simple Google search. You can educate yourself, learn so much more than we're taught, not taught in schools.
Y'all click the link. I'm just saying. Click the link. Don't just read the headline. Click the link.
Yep. So this is I have just put the link for the wiki that I was reading from and referencing. Lots of information there. So.
I actually follow a couple pages on Facebook, which is where I get a lot of my information. The one that I get the most information from is the Blackout Coalition. If you're like me and you join the Blackout Coalition and you get to go into that group, shut the fuck up. Listen. Okay. Just pay attention and listen. You can learn something in there. Your opinion. Irrelevant. Okay. So, Zach, I'll let you have the floor. If you wanted to highlight anything, anybody?
I have a thousands of people, right, that I could highlight. But I would say when it comes to Black history, of course we have the tried and the true members of Black history that we always refer to, like the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, and so on and so forth. But I'm a simple person. And so as an African-American male, on my journey, I would say learning about, those prior leaders, and just looking around the men around me now, currently that's around me, the men and women around me now. We have a bunch of great examples, like on the higher end, like the Michael Jordans or the Magic Johnsons and the Bob Johnsons of the world, the Oprah Winfreys and things of that nature. So all collectively, like all the stuff that I look at, read, or listen to is kind of reinforcement on a daily basis of how dope African Americans are, and just the inspiration to continue to fight and to push through all the adversity. I mean, it's a lot. But I really feel like at the core of it all, I think having an open mind when talking to different cultures, will help the world, to understand each person's or each background a little better. I feel like it would help you relate and kind of understand, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, right? I mean, we all experience the same.
Well, except Mitch McConnell, I'm pretty sure he's an alien.
Yeah, that dude, he's a
There's a few.
There are a few aliens rolling around, but
I'm definitely not sure they're all human, because humans don't treat other human beings that way. I just can't buy into that. I just can't do it.
That's real.
Yeah.
But I'll just leave it at that. I didn't have anybody specifically in my head. But like I said, every day it's a different figure that I pull some type of inspiration from or motivation from to keep moving on my journey and trying to instill it into my daughters and so on and so forth.
I love that. You're raising some really strong and beautiful daughters too. Yeah, I obviously I see.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So we got in the comments, Frederick Jones is who invented the air conditioning unit. So we couldn't remember the last week. We were like, what's the name? We don't know the name. So now we're putting names to faces.
We're looking
and inventions. Oh, and my dress today is from Lisa from why did I just forget the name of
Mary Jane
Runway. I was in my closet because I was like closet, wardrobe, Mary Jane Runway. Check it out. She has a .com. She has an Instagram. Lisa is a really amazing designer, and she has all kinds of different patterns and designs that she does. This one's it's a hooded dress. I love it so much. It's super, super comfortable, and I'm super comfortable, but also I feel fashionable. So it's amazing. So definitely check her out. And Dawn, I see that you're in here. We just announced that we are going to have on our March 9th show, we're going to be sending a bunch of you the live link to come through on March 9th because we want women entrepreneurs just coming through on March 9th to smoke with us, to chat with us, tell us a story about how they got started or about life or about an adventure that they went on, whatever. I don't care. We want to talk to y'all. And so we're going to be sending a bunch of links out for a bunch of women to join us. So that's going to be super exciting.
Nice.
Before we get to our main topic, we just gotta, I would say it pay the bills, but really it's just, get us hired and then we'll pay the bills. So real quick, just a little word from our sponsors. If you're into smoking King Palms, like I'm into smoking King Palms, go to kingpalm.com and get 15% off using code KPTCCP Feb 15. If you use that code, you will get 15% off. It has a limit of how many uses. It has a longevity that it could last for the whole month, but it only has a limited amount of uses. So if for some reason that link doesn't work for you, just let me know. I'll send you a new one, but it should work right now. I think we're good right now. Also, we are brought to you by CQ LLC. We are cannabis consulting and education. We were just actually approved from the Colorado MED to teach responsible vendor training in the state of Colorado.
Oh,
nice. Yeah, I know. It's super exciting. Responsible vendor training is required for delivery drivers and hospitality workers in the cannabis industry. However, it's also adds, it's like a mitigating circumstance if in fact something happens where you get like an administrative violation. So it'd be a really smart idea to have the people who work in your stores, in your cultivation centers, and in your processing centers and kitchens to also take this course. It's a 2-hour course. We have it online right now, and we're going to be releasing our Zoom platform soon. Check us out, www.cq-llc.com. Customer service, cqllc@gmail.com, 970-426-5985. That's where you can reach us. Thank you, sponsors. If you ever have any questions, you can send us an email, cannabiscloset420@gmail.com. We will answer those questions very timely. I will put the Discord link in the comment section here in a second, but you can definitely catch us on Discord most mornings. We're having business meetings and hanging out and smoking our blunts and stuff. Sometimes working out, if we're not feeling lazy. And
we both did squats today.
We did. I did 50 today. Woo woo.
I did 25.
If you can't catch us live and need to catch us later, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts right now. So check out our link, solo.to/cannabiscloset420 to find those links and join us on those platforms. So yeah, everybody, welcome officially Zach Post to the podcast. Woo woo. We're not elevated enough to like music yet. We're working on it though.
It's all good. I definitely have a beautiful platform. I was sitting there, I'm a little envious of the background since my background's all plain and all regular looking. And I was looking at both of you. I'm like, wow, they look.
It's all an illusion. I've got things clipped together.
Well, the illusion is working. It's working, definitely. But again, like I said earlier, thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to giving as much as I can about, getting people set on the right path when it comes to investing in cannabis, and like just knowing more about investing in general. But anything that I can help out with, I'm here. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to rock.
We're just gonna, we'll see if anybody in the comments if you guys have questions as we go through, just ask them in the comment section. We'll be sure to pass them along. But first, let's talk about how we met. Well, the business that we met you through, which is Elite Home Growers Academy. Can you tell our audience a little bit about your academy and what you do, what you provide, etc.?
Yeah, sure. So Elite Home Growers Academy is a nonprofit organization based specifically on educating in the cannabis sector. So we got the idea. Well, I would say I got the idea years ago when the amendment got onto the ballot, and I knew that Missouri patients would be able to grow cannabis. So I knew I was growing cannabis for a while. I grew it professionally in Las Vegas, and then I was growing it in Missouri, before it passed. I'm still working on my craft. And so once it became a thing, I said, well, let's put a curriculum together and try to teach as many people as we can, because it'll be a period there where, yeah, it's legal, but patients won't have access to it because there's no cultivation facilities, there's no dispensaries, and so on and so forth. So we kind of like focused on that gap right there. And then that spun off to learning about teaching about investing in cannabis. I'm a former stockbroker with TD Ameritrade, so that's where I really learned the bulk of all my information is actually working there. So we created a curriculum where we could teach patients how to, well, not patients, but anybody in general, how to invest in cannabis stock, because of course people want ownership within this industry, and another quick way to get ownership is to invest in a company. So I always try to put that out there. If you don't have the capital to start a business, you may take some of the capital that you do have and invest in a good company that you believe in their business model, and they're in the right direction, because it's a lot of companies in cannabis that are not worth investing in too. So you got to be careful.
We're gonna want to know all of that information. We're watching this back on a playback and taking notes for sure.
Definitely.
Because our business could definitely use a little extra capital, and if we don't have to work so hard to make it, it would be a beautiful thing.
Oh yes.
Honestly. So before we get started in talking about investing, I just want to remind everybody, we were, MJ and I were kind of chit-chatting before the show started. And so here's the situation in the United States. Cannabis is not federally legal, and it has not been decriminalized. Because of those things, we have to play in gray areas when it comes to banking. So a lot of holding companies do business as cannabis companies, for example. You can't have the word cannabis in your name. You cannot even hint at the fact that you might be making money from cannabis companies. Don't ever get a check that says hemp or cannabis on it, because that's a no-no. They will not take that money. And it's a whole headache. The cannabis industry in general is not allowed to bank like a normal industry. We just aren't allowed to put our money in banks in that way. Honestly, to be honest, here's my cannabis money. No, we have to be here's D&B holding money,
Right.
So that's a thing. And then on top of that, and what people don't realize, they're like, okay, well, that's a thing that can make it complicated. Yeah, it makes it real complicated. Also, the federal government, while not acknowledging our businesses as legal businesses, take a cut of our money in federal income tax.
Right.
So now we have to write them a check every year from a bank account that's not supposed to fucking exist. And Congress and the Senate refuse to agree on a Safe Banking Act bill so that we can actually do legitimate business in this industry. And I'm not just talking about the regulated folks here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about the ancillary folks too. Some of us have a real hard time getting a bank account because of what we do and who we work with, or what we talk about, or any of those things. I've had friends who were employees in the cultivation center whose bank accounts were closed by their bank because they were employees Yes, the government is taxing illegal funds. Yes, they are.
Right.
Yes, they absolutely are. Well, I mean, and they're also taxing people who are not allowed to vote. So that's taxation without representation. The federal government is a slimy, slimy little beast. Is real life. Um, so while we talk about, we're going to be talking about some good investment moves today. But remember that if this is something that you're interested in doing, ancillary or otherwise, regulated, ancillary, otherwise, keep in mind that you might have to jump through some loopholes and live in some gray areas, and that's uncomfortable sometimes for people.
So make sure you're consulting professionals and talking to others before you do anything.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I would
Most
say
definitely.
the name of your business plays a huge part in that. Definitely, definitely. Hey, I thank God today that I chose Elite Home Growers Academy versus like Elite Cannabis Growing Academy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I just chose Elite Home Growers. Like, it's worked out so well for me on the banking end. But I do have a lot of friends and comrades that they have an account for about 3 months and then boom, it's just
Boom.
shut down. Like
Gone.
hydroponic stores. Is a really good buddy of mine has a hydroponic store, and he had it for about a good year, his account, and then out of nowhere they gave him like a 2 week notice that they're gonna shut his accounts down, and they shut down everything. He couldn't pay anybody. He couldn't order things. He put him in
That's crazy to me because you could grow tomatoes in hydroponics. Like
exactly
hydroponics have been around before the can.
forever.
Yeah,
But
like
what they tied it to is because he advertised that he had like certain type of grow equipment, and then he had, of course, my company down there to teach how to grow. So it's like
yeah.
learn how to grow, like advertise on this like door. So that's what they kind of hung
And
him up
one of the
on.
banking officials saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
Snitches get
Going to
stitches.
buy their stuff.
Right, right, exactly,
Bitches.
exactly. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah, they'll check in on it. The bank will send a representative to check your business and
Mm-hmm.
your address and everything. Yeah, they will. Especially if they have any kind of concerns like that.
Right,
If they're
right,
not sure. Um the government has always been taxing legal and illegal funds for decades. They even collect taxes from people who aren't even citizens of this country. That's true too. Again, taxation without representation. People who do not vote in this country should not be paying taxes in this country. Just,
right,
if you can't hire the representation to represent you, then you shouldn't have to pay taxes. And that's why you should give people who have served their time back their voting rights, because you are absolutely fucking with their other rights
right.
as a human.
Definitely, definitely. I agree.
So yeah. So let's start with the first. You said you used to work in the banking industry
Right. Well, as a broker, yeah,
as a broker.
so like on the finance side.
And so what just because you grew cannabis, or you just connected those two? So like you were a broker and then you were in cannabis and then you were like, let's put these two things
I have
together. Is
I,
that
I have a weird story actually, but
we want to hear it?
right.
We
So
like stories.
We love weird stories.
I've always been into cannabis. Growing up, high school, things of that nature. But I've always been into like learning about business, and a part of learning about business is I picked up, I would say, the hobby of investing, and this was back in 2010, where I really became serious about investing, just in general. Around that same time, the Canadian market on the cannabis side was just starting to bubble. So they were doing things where you have these companies that can list as pink sheets or over the counter OTC stocks. So they're not on a major exchange. So when I was learning about just general trading, I started to look at the pink stocks, the pink sheets also. And what I learned was like, hey, a lot of these companies are Canadian cannabis companies. So that's kind of what started the whole learn more about. Once I seen that they were starting to trade on the OTC market, I knew that it was the steamroll was just beginning. So get on now, learn more about it. And I bought my first like cannabis stock in like 2011. It didn't do much. It actually flopped. It was a pump and dump, and it caught me slipping. But that taught me a valuable lesson. So from that, life kind of went on from there. And then I end up getting a job. Well, I started. Well, okay, so I got a job as a broker after I already started growing cannabis. I was already growing cannabis for probably about 3 to 4 years prior to getting a job as an actual stockbroker. So it just kind of all played together. Like as a hobby, my hobbies were growing cannabis and reading about companies and stocks. That's my hobby. So it wasn't like I pushed it together, just kind of organically happened. And
it's just what you like to do.
Yeah, this is like what I like leisure time. Leisure time, I'm reading a book about
for people like
you. Like thank goodness.
Yeah, so it's just something I just enjoyed, from a long time ago. I just always been into like the suits and the money and the power and the screaming on the floor. Like I've always been into that. So
we got some screaming on the floor right now because it is 4:20 in the West Coast. It's 4:20 in the West Coast. That's so interesting. And I love how it just kind of flowed for you. Is super. That does sound like it was super organic. Like nothing was forced there.
Yeah.
And a great example of utilize, in this industry of us being able to take business aspects from our previous lives and join it with cannabis. I put that on my resume today. I was like, cannabis is in all aspects of my life. And I'm only choosing jobs that align with that.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody asked me that, like, would I take no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take a job that is outside of cannabis. If the businesses that I'm currently trying to run and juggle don't do as well as I'm hoping that they will, it'll be 100% my fault. But also, if I had to go back into the workforce with somebody else, it would be a cannabis brand. It would be a cannabis industry. It would be in cannabis. It would be something to do with this industry, just because that's where I found my interest. That's where, like, I'm a child of the 80s, and also there's probably some trauma attached to this, but I'm gonna pick it up, put it down kind of. I've done that my whole life. I find interest in something, and then I'm like, okay, that was fun. What's the next thing? I want to learn about the next thing, and I want to learn about the next thing. And I found with cannabis, I can do that and still stay within cannabis,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're literally having a show about cannabis and money right now. And when you think about anything at all, when you think about any industry at all, we can most likely relate. I sound like that father on My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Give me any word and I'll tell you how that word is Greek. Like, you know what I'm saying? Give me any industry and I'll tell you how it connects back to the cannabis industry, or how it can connect back to the cannabis, how we can build a business on that industry within cannabis. Like we can do that.
Oh yeah.
And there's so much still left to be learned.
Definitely. Like I say all the time, we're at the beginning of an industry that will last forever. Now, when people really stop and really think about that, it just shows you how new and how young we still are at this. So, like, say us right now, that's kind of like on the ground floor. I still would call it the ground floor.
I would too.
Of the industry. We have great opportunity to kind of see and help mold and carve those lanes within this industry that we want to see. And like you said, it does, like cannabis and business and money, and like it all flows together. It has before it became legal, and it definitely will now that it is legal.
Absolutely.
So it's just going to be a ton of growth as we see. It's going to be peaks and valleys, but I feel like it's going to get to the point where it stabilizes, and it will be respected just like any other industry that's out here.
I hope we're still alive to see that, because I mean, really, sometimes I feel like we take these leaps forward and then we like get pushed back, you know? Like how many times has the Safe Banking Act been attached to other bills? Have been
Right.
like, you're like, come on, man, just give it its own time and space because we deserve that. We've worked really hard and followed all of the rules that you've asked us to follow.
Right.
And
Right.
why you can't? Why would they not? You know, they want to profit off it. They want to be able. They're taxing it and everything, but yet they can't offer us safe banking, you know,
Right.
or the capability to, you know, get a bank account so that you can open your child a college fund.
Simple.
You know, I think we've been, you know, like we can buy stocks and trades and have these publicly traded companies and have all this virtual money flying around. But, you know, again, dispensaries, facilities that touch the plant can't, or have it even anywhere near the name of their business.
Do you ever experience any pushback or hindrance because of a stock that made you money because of the name of the stock or something like that? Does that affect is that affected in banking at all, like your trading?
Not at all. Not at
Okay,
all. Like
good.
like not at all. Absolutely not. It's investing. The stock is a whole nother world, I would say, compared to like you have the banking, but then you have finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finances are different. Like drug testing in the financial industry, like when I every financial job that I've had was never a drug test. Like they don't say this, but it's kind of accepted to be like, hey, I just seen my homie doing a line of coke in the bathroom, but he's finna get on this floor. He's gonna clock some sales.
Yeah.
So like it's
It's
definitely
unspoken.
right.
That's how Disney World is too. Disney, like, we know drug testing aren't.
You've been out at Disney World.
So it's definitely the finance is just different from banking. Banking is more by the book and regulated, and the financial market is more regulated too, but it's majorly manipulated by big money. So you have institutional investors and you have all these different hedge funds that are managing these billion-dollar accounts and so on and so it's just looked at different. They definitely play different, and by a different set of rules. I would say just because they have deeper pockets, and you have so many of their businesses is tied to this in some kind of capacity, right? That they won't touch it. Like they won't. Okay, they won't like scrutinize you for buying a cannabis stock, making a big windfall of money, and then transferring that money from your broker account to your bank account because it's coming from another financial institution to a smaller financial institution. So they don't care. Now, if it was different for like if I got a check as a personal person from a cannabis company and tried to bring it to my smaller financial institution, they'd be like, whoa, buddy, but it's just a different it's
about how
different
much you're
level.
putting into probably.
Exactly. And it's just a different level of how they look at things, how they scrutinize things, like on the stock side of it or on the finance side of it versus like the actual banking, because banking is finance, but it's just a different level of finance, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. So
that's
I wouldn't, because you're speaking a language that is foreign to me, honestly. Like I'm learning right now.
It was always, don't talk about money. It's my money is my business, and so that's
so many families grow up in that, right?
Family thing I'm breaking, like no, I'm going to talk about my financial health and wealth,
Right. And I just feel like, because I was a financial counselor, not just a stockbroker. So, and I talked to a lot of people. Like one of my jobs was to actually help people kind of get back in on like a financial pathway where they can accomplish like things like buying a house or purchasing a car, or just saving more money. And so part of that is a lot of people themselves don't know their money though. They don't know their expenses. They don't really know what they spend. Like they all count, okay, I have rent or mortgage, I have a car note. Hey, it's all good.
Guilty.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that fall guilty of this, right? But what I discovered from helping so many people out is once you really pick up I would say the healthy habits, of like money habits, you kind of don't want to go without them.
Right.
Like when you're shown a certain way to kind of track your spending, and knowing that, hey, you actually know how much money you're gonna have at the end of the week or the end of the month, and like knowing that like on a consistent basis,
Mm-hmm.
you look kind of forward to that information. So I'll just say it behooves everybody to kind of just know their money, know their budgets, and know what they're actually spending out versus the big things that they know, but they don't really count, the shopping habit, or like say
Right.
in my particular case, the cannabis
Yeah.
habit. Like people wouldn't even count that as a bill. Like you can
Right.
spend $500 a month on cannabis, but it's not really a bill. Like it's just like, oh, that's
Don't say
just
that out loud.
yeah.
My husband might have a heart attack at $500.
Right,
He's like,
right.
"Excuse me." See, well, that's why we live in Colorado. Seriously, or that's a good reason to grow your own. And if you want to do that in Missouri, you should call Zach for that for sure.
Oh,
This
definitely,
little
definitely.
plug for that. So how does one get started in investing in cannabis?
Okay, I would say you want to kind of take it to the basics. The main thing is to be successful at anything. You have to put effort into it. I have people that they take on the lay and pray philosophy, where they say, "Well, I'm going to find a company, I'm going to throw some money at it, and I'm just going to forget about it. And I'll check it in 10 years. I'll be rich." It
Hmm.
don't quite work that way, right?
Not
Unless like
usually.
you can find those jewels
Hmm.
every once in a while, but in order to really make the stock market and investing work for you, and this is investing in anything. We're talking, you can invest in artwork, you can invest in timepieces, you can invest in music, right? So this is just a philosophy of investing in general. You kind of want to know what you're doing, and you have to be willing to put in the effort to learn what you don't know, because what you don't know will get you every time. I took my biggest losses from things that I just didn't know. I learned quick though, right?
Hmm.
I learned after I lost the money.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say you want to take it, you want to kind of dedicate 10 to 15 minutes a day of just learning, getting familiar with terms. And so you have sites like investopedia.com, where they have all the investment terms that you can think of. They break them all down. They even have cool little like cartoonish videos to kind of give more people like a visual aid of how they like to understand things.
Hmm.
So I would say first and foremost, get familiar with what you're going to be doing with your new with the new hobby, right?
Right.
So
Know
that's,
your
I would say that's,
product.
yeah, that's at the core basic. um but to actually get to the more technical side of it, of how you get started investing, it starts with a broker account. So you have these apps now where you have the Robinhood app, you have even Cash app,
Yep.
where you can start to do some type of investing on. But those are not traditional broker accounts, and a lot of people confuse that. They say,
Yep.
"Hey Zach, I've been investing." I say, "Okay, who's your broker?" They'll say Cash app. And I say, they're really not a broker. like
Yeah.
they're
They're
really
not.
not a broker. So you get more access to things with a actual broker, like a TD Ameritrade, a Fidelity, a
Hmm.
Charles Schwab, a E Trade. You give more access to things that you can trade versus through Cash App or through a Robinhood, because they're only going to allow you to trade what they've already purchased. So you're really just trading off of their portfolio.
Right. Okay.
So you want to sign up with a good broker. And once you sign up with a broker, you have to complete an application. It's really similar to applying for a bank account. And then
What are the signs of a good broker?
I would say where it's user friendly. A lot of this stuff are done on apps, so you can have a broker that has an app that the app could really not really work in your benefit. It could be a slower app. It could be not as quick. So you can miss, like if you want to trade for a certain price or you want to purchase a stock at a certain price, you may not get it because of the lag time that particular app platform may just be slow. So you want
Right.
to look at things where, they have good customer service and they're not charging you for everything, right? Like, because a lot
Hmm.
of these brokers, they have fees out the wazoo. So you wanna kind of keep in mind what the fees are per trade or anything like that, So and what they give you access to trade, because all brokers, even though they may be a licensed broker, they may not trade cannabis stock. right? So you want to do some due diligence before you just go signing up with any broker. And like if they have good customer service, you can just call them and say, hey, can I trade? Do you guys trade cannabis stock? And they'll say yes or no.
Like you just
And
ask. Somebody said, how do I find a broker that deals with cannabis investments? You ask. Ask them if they do it.
And I know for sure that the ones that I've named, definitely you can trade cannabis stocks. So Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers is another one. I've used them all. Like I have like 7 different broker accounts. Don't ask me why. I just do. But
he's rich, bitch. That's why.
but I'm not gonna front. I'm not here like I'm some type of like investment like millionaire or something. It's just I have certain ones that I like for certain things.
Right.
Like I trade options. So I have one that I really like for their options platform. And I have one that I have more for like my long-term investing, and mutual funds and things of that nature. So I for me, it just works out better that way, that I kind of keep them separate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy. A quick Google search. But TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Interactive Brokers. Those are like the top 5.
Right.
That you can just Google, and then you can start to sign up that way.
And you can look at their reviews and stuff too, to see what their customer service is like and all that stuff, so that you can make some decisions.
There are a lot of online sources too that follow this and talk about the different companies, public companies, going online and everything. So again, Google searching and just finding more about what you want. There you attach what you like and put cannabis to it, and it's going to pull up a whole world for you.
So, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I say use that rule for like literally everything. If you're looking for a new doctor, add cannabis to your search, because especially if you're a cannabis consumer, you want to do cannabis friendly things. You want to invest with cannabis friendly companies. You want to go to doctors who you can have a real discussion about your health about. Even my veterinarian, we had a dog with cancer, and I was like, yo, we're going cannabis. And he was like, okay. And we worked together. So yeah, I mean, I would say if you're going to do it for other things, definitely for your financial health, that's a really good idea to search and make sure it stays within your lifestyle and your patterns. And you don't have to, hey, you guys, you don't have to just invest in cannabis stocks. We just happen to be talking about that because that's what we do here at the Cannabis Closet podcast. But like literally, you can use all of this information that Zach is sharing with us to invest in other types of stocks as well. So just, I definitely, this is going to be a playback show
for sure,
where you're going to like write some stuff down and everything. So to find a good broker, look for a good customer service, put the proper words in your search, know what you want to invest in and where you want to put your money. And if that is in cannabis, make sure that the broker is a cannabis friendly business.
Exactly.
What's the minimum you would say to set aside to really make a serious start in investing if you're starting to think about wanting to put your money into something?
I would say you have 2 different approaches. And like I'm the type of like I teach the get in where you fit in philosophy, right? Because I feel like it does 2 things. Like it actually for the people that have lack of money to invest and say they only have $50 to invest. That's great because they're probably gonna lose that $50 anyway learning the ropes. So I would say it's kind of like paid training almost, right? So get in where you fit in. If it's
I like that positive outlook on it though. Like it wasn't like you didn't lose anything. That was just paid training.
You gained.
Yeah, you gained something. Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's a lesson.
Like I said, the best way for me that reinforced like things that I should and should not do when investing was when I lost money. Like that right there was like, you know what? I'm never doing that again. And the next trade, I'll be like, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to don't go with your gut. People say, that's why I would say investing advice that's probably the best advice that I have. Do not go with your gut.
Go with your broker's gut.
Right. And really It's so much when you're like evaluating these companies, but you have to have a system to evaluate, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But but yeah, I would say like finding a broker. Once you find a trusted broker, you apply for them, and then they'll either approve or deny your application. And then they have certain levels that you fall in. Like if you're a newer broker, like a newer trader, you may not get access to trading options and day trading and things of that nature, because they don't want you to risk more than you're able to.
Right.
But then once you figure out you're approved, you're gonna fund your account, meaning that you're gonna link your broker account to your bank account, and you're gonna basically transfer money from your bank account over to your broker account. And then it usually takes about 2 to 3 days for that money to clear. And once it clears, you're okay to go trade. You can go buy and sell and do all kinds of stuff at that particular point. But then that's where the lessons and the patterns like kind of come into play.
Yeah.
You don't want to just like play fast and loose.
I mean, I would, because that's just
And like sometimes
I was
that's
just
fine.
like
Yeah,
shiny.
sometimes that's fine. Yeah.
My grandmother used to bet on horses based on the name of the horse, and there's a possibility I inherited something like that. So I'm just like,
Got you.
that sounds good. Let's do that.
And sometimes that do work. Sometimes that do work. Like I've invested in random companies and was like didn't know anything about the company would make money. But it would be like a day trade though. I would be in and out really quick. Like as soon as I make money, I would just like sell out just to
Right.
capitalize. Right. But
So you said 10 to 15 minutes a day. Do you I mean, I feel like, because this is your hobby, I feel like you spend way more time than that.
Yeah, well, I go through spurts. Like so earlier on through in my learning, I would spend way more time than 15 minutes a day.
Right.
Now, well, even now, I would say, but I'm really not learning. I'm just keeping up now today. So I turn on my TV, and usually the first thing that I watch is CNBC, which it'd be anything that's pertaining to stock and what the market's doing. It's the Dow up with the pre-market, what it's projected. Like I'm usually like looking at all of this stuff just so I can kind of know where I want to place my trades for that day, and get in and get them set up and then get out. So I'll check back throughout the day as I can, like have it on my phone and things of that nature. I'm sorry, my kids keep running in here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah,
I
you're good.
apologize.
You've been noted, don't
No.
Ever, come on.
A lot of people that I know who are who do invest like this, like Zach does, spend time on the apps. They're like, no, you're not kicking us out. Spend time on the apps, like some of us, myself included, would spend time on things like Instagram or on other social media, right? So the time that he's spending is used better than my time, because he's using his time to invest in himself, like to bring money into the onto his table, and I'm fucking scrolling Instagram.
Well, we don't know. This is new. Like I wouldn't have it, even this again, starting with learning the terminology.
Yes.
Building up to that and understanding what you're doing. It's not, again, not just throwing money at someone and being like, invest for me.
Right. That's what I was going to say, is that that first step is really crucial, because then you're going to know like what he's talking about. When you get up in the morning and see what the market's doing, you're going to understand what the market's doing, because you understand the terminology, you understand kind of how those things are going to work. So welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Kids, geez.
Feisty.
My dog, I had to mute earlier and go tell her to stop too. So.
Yeah, we got dogs. I wouldn't even compare the same thing, but like, yeah, sometimes we got to mute for them too. So it's
always
fine.
Something. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
So, how do you choose what you would call a good stock to invest in?
I would say I do my due diligence, basically looking at their leadership. That's where you kind of want to start at. You want to see the vision that CEO may have, right? Or the track record of that CEO. Because now in the cannabis sector, you have a lot of these cannabis CEOs starting to reach out into like other industries, pulling talent from other industries. So you can always backtrack to see what that particular CEO did at the prior company, where the what direction did they lead that particular company into. So that's kind of that's a part of it. Then of course the concept. You want to look at the concept, like, hey, is the concept working, or like, or okay, what's so special about their particular cannabis products that they have an edge over the rest of the market? Is it could be a logistic thing? Can they distribute more? Are they vertically integrated? Do they own their dispensaries along with with their cultivation facilities and so on and so forth? Like, how strong as of a conglomerate are they together, or is it just one part of the puzzle? Do they just own dispensaries, or do they just have manufacturing?
Right.
So those things of that nature. But really, the proof is in the pudding. Each company that actually is publicly traded has to report their earnings every quarter, right? So like earnings season is a big time to either make a bet or to buy or to sell. Like, that's some of the things that I look into, right? You don't want to fall for that all the time, but sometimes you can get pretty lucky if you can predict that a company's going to have bad earnings or good earnings, and place your bet before they actually report those earnings, right?
Right.
But if I own a company and I know they had a doozy of a year, I might sell off on that company after their report. The stock will drop, then I'll just buy back into it at a lower price, and then just go back up with it, because all these companies have peaks and valleys. You just have to timing is pretty critical when it comes to investing your money, depending on the type of trader that you are. I say that because you can have long-term and short-term investing. It kind of depends on, and I do both. So on my short-term strategy, sometimes it work out to get into a company and get out of it pretty quick to realize my gains, versus just but the companies that I really, really believe in, like my really strong companies, like say in the cannabis sector right now, you have a lot of new companies that are growth. They're growth in their growth phase. So guess what they're doing? They're spending a lot of money. So their earnings may be garbage because they may have made 70 million this quarter, but they spent 120 million on equipment, on payroll, on so on and so forth. So it may look on paper that they're not being profitable, which they're not. But if they're setting up the pieces of the puzzle where they're making the proper acquisitions and the right marketing, and they have a good brand recognition where you can really see the future of that company, it may be good to hold that for your long-term strategy and buy pieces of that company week after week or month after month or something like that, where you're compounding your position within that company.
Right.
For the ones that you really believe in, right? The rest of them, it may just be they have a cool product that is just really a fad, and they're going to get a lot of buzz for a good 6 months, and you might ride their way for 6 months, but before it starts to flatline, you sell out of your position and capitalize on that particular move. So it all kind of depends, like, on that strategy, and I would just say start to learn what your strategy is. Like, as an investor, what do you want your money to do? Do you want to, like, really have a number? Do you want to get a 10% return? Do you want to get a 50% return? Like, really know what your return, what you want your returns to be. Then that'll give you a good opportunity of when you want to sell. People ask me this all the time. They say, "Hey, well, Zach, I've made X amount of dollars on this particular trade. So do I sell out or do I keep holding it? What should I do?" And that's one question I can never answer for them. I say, hey, it depends on what you want to do with that money. You can continue to ride it out to get to exercise more gains. But if you really only wanted a 15% return on this money and you got a 22% of return on this money, you've already met your goal. So you can actually sell out of this position and put that money into something else. So it all kind of depends on that personal strategy and your overall objectives as a person. Right. So that's just some of the things, some of the tips that I would put out there.
There are some people, me, who would say that, if I lost money, or if I just, couldn't figure it out, I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out right away. Kind of like, it makes me comfortable if I know how to do something. I know
For
that's
sure.
crazy, but some people might get frustrated at the idea of losing money, and in general, just overall. So what would you say to those people who also have toyed with the idea of investing?
I would say this: if never play what you can't lose.
I
And
say
that's
that about
just real.
cannabis
Like, yeah,
too.
nobody likes to lose money. And you don't want to go into it saying, well, I might lose money. Of course, if you're going into it like that, you shouldn't be investing into that company.
Yeah, go
But
in a positive attitude.
right, you want to go into it with a positive attitude, but you also have to know when to cut your losses.
Yep.
If it's a company that you feel like they may just had to hit a slump and they're going to turn it around, you may just want to say, hey, I'm going to ride it out. Elon Musk is like the Tesla whole thing is really known for their like diehard investors. Were like people would call them stupid. Oh, that guy don't know what he's doing. This and this and
Yeah.
this and
I
but
remember I've seen those reports.
yeah, but he's turned a lot of regular people into some millionaires because they understood his or they somewhat understood his vision, but they
Yeah.
believed in where he could take Tesla with the whole electrical car market. And right now, I mean, as electrical car market, they're top dog. Like
Right.
there's no denying it. So in those particular situations, you have to really follow those companies. And so that's why sometimes investing in cannabis can be, well, investing in the market can be a little confusing
Mm-hmm.
because in order to really be good at it, I feel like you have to at least know the companies that you're dealing with and kind of know their habits. Because a lot of stuff can be seasonal. They can have a peak at Christmas could be their peak, and then
Yeah.
they have to kind of float through the rest of the year. But you kind of got to know that to
Mm-hmm.
know where to place your bet and when to pull out or when to just hold your position. So with that being said, you wanna pick a handful of companies to start with first, and
Mm-hmm.
really like just to go through their reports, look at
Right.
what their history is, like what they were trading a year ago. Have they
Mm-hmm.
increased? Have they decreased? Have their stock split? Did it do a reverse split? Things of those nature would kind of give you an idea of what type of company, what I would say where this particular company is going,
Yeah.
and then you can base your trades or no trades based on that information. So due diligence, due diligence, due diligence.
Yeah. Do your homework first. I kind of did a little bit of that, like Robin Hood. It wasn't Robin Hood, but it was one of those situations like a few years ago. And I was like, I don't understand why people would do this. Like this just doesn't even feel. But having you on today, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Why would you jump into anything that involves your money or your health or etc without doing some research? Like if you found I don't know, if you found like a new mole on your neck or whatever, you would like you would Wikipedia that thing first, and then or whatever, WebMD it, and
Right.
then and but then you would maybe call your doctor and like do some research and figure out what's going on, before the whole freak out. So do that. So do your research before investing your money, right, and have an amount. I think that's a good idea
Yeah.
is because
Cool.
if you don't have like a set amount, then you could end up putting yourself into a debt situation that you're playing this game, which is almost like a gamble.
It,
So yeah.
yeah. I call investing in the stock market like just, I would say, an educated guess. Like
Hmm.
that's the difference. Like the difference between a casino and the stock market is like you can research your bet, and you really can't research it at the casino.
Yeah.
Like you can research it and you can
I
really
mean, you
feel.
can, but you will get kicked out.
Exactly, exactly. So in stocks, you read as much as you can, and like you kind of get a feel for this company, and where they're going, and you're still legitimately making a bet. That company could go belly up the next day. You could put your life savings in that company, and then the next day they could go belly up and take
That's
all
true.
of your money.
That's true.
And really, ultimately, you can only blame yourself.
Right. Yeah, no, you're responsible for that. I want to say just to kind of like a little bit piggyback off of that is that then for somebody like I have to be really interested in what I'm reading about to just read it.
Hmm.
Like I'm really interested in cannabis, so I can read cannabis in textbook format, and it's really weird. I'm just like, ha, I love it.
Yeah.
But I can't read anything else in textbook format. I can't do that. It's like I can't retain it if if it's something that I'm not like super absorbed with,
Right.
just generally. So when you're making your choices about who to invest with, I would say try to pick companies that are doing things that are interesting to you
Mm-hmm.
too, because if they're doing things that are interesting, their backstory is probably super interesting. And you know, you can read those like boring details that you kind of need to know to make the investment. You can read those details and still be super interested in what's going on, generally speaking. And I think that would maybe help
Definitely.
with
That
the
would
decision
definitely help.
making. Yeah.
I
Because you
feel
got to
like
retain this stuff.
I feel like we're building a checklist of really like
I know.
definitely like having a playback later and writing all these things down and you know, having a checklist of how to, you know, get on that. Because again, I'm learning something again. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I'm not financially minded. I mean, I wasn't taught like you know, they tried to teach us a little bit in economics. We still had that when I was in high school, but it
yeah,
wasn't like, you know, in my household, money went to where it had to go, and
Right.
that's that. And so and there's that, you know, and this happens a lot when you're living in a like this weird low income socioeconomic bubble space. But then there ends up being small pennies spent on these frivolous items that are unnecessary. So there's like this whole cycle that happens in a household like where I grew up, and where a lot of people grew up in a household like that, where there wasn't, you weren't taught about financial freedom. You weren't
Right.
taught about how to get the fuck out of this town
Right. Right.
without joining the military. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
like you aren't taught those things, and you aren't taught those things for a reason. It is absolutely the feature, not the flaw. So don't get it twisted. They don't want you to know these things, but it's super important if you want to live a different life. Then you have to devote time and energy into that space. One of my favorite artists is Gracie Basie. She's a local. She's currently, I believe, she's in Denver right now, and she's a reggae artist. And she just came out with a single called "Priceless." Go download it. It's on all the major platforms. But one of the things that she said in a recent interview, and one of the things that she talks about in the song, is how money is not evil. Money's not evil. We've said this before on this show. Money is not evil. Money can gain you positive things. People are greedy. That's fact. And so people can do evil things with money, but money is not evil. And when you talk about money in that way, that it's evil and it's bad, then you're blocking the energy that you need to have to draw it into you. Um, you know, you say that investing isn't necessarily about a gut feeling. You got to do all this research and everything. But I think that also you do your research, but also if you're blocking the energy, then you can't get what you need from that research, which
Right.
is potentially a gut instinct about which way you should go with the education that you've now got.
Right. Yeah. And I say that loosely. But what I meant
Yeah.
by that is a lot of people base it solely on their gut.
Right.
You
You
know,
don't
I
want to do
think this
that.
company is gonna tank. I feel it. I know they're gonna go down, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll just base it on that versus saying, okay, I really feel this company is gonna tank, but let me back this up with data of why they're gonna tank. What were their sales looking like? You know, so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, yeah, all the signs show that they're probably gonna tank, right? You know,
Yeah.
so your gut is definitely because I use my gut to like the same way, like I use it to kind of push me in a direction. Then I back the gut up with
Right.
actual data, right? Factual things that
Yeah.
I can base it off of. So yeah, so the gut is still good, but just don't
Still
use it.
be educated.
So
Yeah, you want your
yeah,
gut and your education working together to create like yeah, it has
definitely.
to be symbiotic. I was gonna say because the more knowledgeable, I feel like you. I was like, no, no, no. I feel like definitely you probably do go with your gut a lot because you know so much about this space, about financial investing, and what things like you've done it, you failed at it, you've
Right,
educated yourself more, you've come back and done it again and succeeded. And so I feel like with that, with education about something comes just a natural ability to just know it from
right,
your gut.
right,
um but when you're starting out, it is important to gain that information first. So you said Investopedia. is
Yeah,
where you,
Investopedia.
yeah,
Investopedia.com is a really, I would say, probably one of the best sites to start from scratch.
yeah,
They
okay,
have blogs, they have a bunch of articles where you can just type in there, how do I invest? And they'll break down from start to finish how to invest and everything, right?
mm-hmm.
But sometimes they can be a little biased because they do have paid advertisers. So you
Yeah,
have to watch out for that stuff, right?
but
But
it's good for like terminology and things of that nature.
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely
Basics, yeah.
learn. Yeah, to get some good to get a good foundation, Investopedia is really a good place to start, especially with the terminology because the financial market and trading it has its own lingo, its own terminology. It's like 7 different ways that you can make a trade, right? And if you
yeah,
don't know what those different ways mean, you could really mess yourself up. You know, like you have a limit, you have a stop limit, you have like you're like, well, I'm gonna do a stop limit, but if you don't know what stop limit means, you know, you could really jack yourself up, right?
right.
So knowing the terminology is a good place to start, and that will hopefully trigger that passion to really want to learn
Mm-hmm.
more,
Yeah,
because anything protect like dealing with your money, it becomes emotional, because it's dealing with your money.
right.
So with that, it's just a good opportunity to take that burning desire to double your income and say, hey, you know what? Let me double my education also,
Right.
while I try to double my income. You know.
The more you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I think that, and I mean, disagree if you would like. I mean, we can definitely debate it, but I think that it's getting to a point where if you're not at least looking at investing or looking at cryptocurrency or entertaining those avenues, we're gonna be fucked. I mean, $15 an hour is still the argument, and $15 an hour does not pay for shit anymore. That was 5 years ago,
It doesn't.
right? We're like 25 dollars an hour to be a living wage right now, and people are still arguing about 15.
Right.
We're not going to be able to pay our bills on these 9 to 5 jobs. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to figure another avenue out. Um, this feels like it's not necessarily your safest option, but it is an option, especially if you're doing your homework. Your losses could be minimal if you're paying attention to what you're doing.
Right. And
Correct.
your gains could be optimal.
And then, yeah, and there are people who have quit their jobs and just this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is it for them.
Easy.
And they don't do shit all day except on their phone checking their stocks.
And it can be done. I've never seen the amount of money in people's accounts that I've ever seen until I started working at a broker firm, right? I mean, and these were younger people, older people, $40 million, 27 million. Like it was nothing. They're trading for making $40,000 plays like it's nothing, and I'm like, so it is something to this.
That's a level I want to play on.
Right, right. And during this pandemic, what I did notice, or what I have noticed, is the wealth gap has really took off. It's really really warped. Like the rich, like the pandemic once it stopped the stock market, right, for like a good like 2 or 3 days where
Hmm.
everybody was kind of confused, like what's going on.
What's
But in
gonna
that
happen?
Right, but in that 2 or 3 days, though, the smart rich people was like, you know what, we're gonna benefit from this, and they started dumping all their money. This pandemic has made the rich super rich, and on the flip side of that, the poor even poorer. So the wealth gap has really extended itself, and then you add inflation, what the
Yep.
cost of milk and bread is, and like
Yep.
going to a fast food joint,
Gas
you know,
too.
like gas and everything. Now you put that all into the equation, now that really makes that wealth gap take off. So if you want to put yourself in a position where you're more, I would say, financially not free, but like financially ready, this is just another avenue,
Right.
another lane, another stream of income that you can, if done right, it could pay you a lot of money.
Good.
It really can. Like, but you have so many different ways. It's just not just the buying and the selling. You have the, like I've mentioned, the options. You have the mutual funds that pay dividends. You have people living off their dividend payments. They're paying their bills off of dividends that they're receiving from companies, right? So being able to, like, okay, if your money kind of helps dictate your lifestyle, why wouldn't you want to know more about it?
Yes.
You know, like, so that's kind of why I look at it, like, okay, I'm doing something wrong here, right? So let me figure this out. Let me sit down and figure this out. So I took the time to say, hey, it's a lot of money on this thing that they call the stock market. Let me stop being rebellious against it. And, like, I didn't make the rules to this game, but let me learn the rules to the game. And I'm gonna learn the rules to the game, and I'm gonna play the game. And that's kind of what really pushed me and nudged me to get the job as a broker. I solely took that job to learn more about trading. I didn't really care about being a stock broker and, like, trying to take that to, you know, becoming a hedge fund manager or nothing. That never was my play. I became a stockbroker solely to become a better personal trader for myself. Like,
nice,
that was
nice.
it. Like, that was it.
Nice. That's why I have a psychology degree, so I can figure out what the fuck's going on in my head.
Hey, it makes sense though, right? It makes so much sense.
I'm not gonna sit around and listen to your problems. I don't care.
Figure out your own problems, right? You know,
got my own problems and trauma.
So that's kind of the same analogy when it comes to, like, investing.
Yeah, absolutely. Invest. Well, I mean, you're investing your money, but you're investing in yourself, and it's not like I said, it's not a mistake that people who are poor, who come from poor backgrounds, who are struggling to remain middle class, it is not a mistake that there's this whispering about money being evil within your communities, that it destroys lives. It's evil because they don't want you to have it. They don't want you to know their secret. And their secret is money is not evil. They're just greedy. Their secret is that you could do so much more in life with more money, and you could help more people that are like you or that grew up like you. If you are not an evil person, then your money is not evil.
Very true.
That's it.
I couldn't agree more. Like, yeah, greed is not good, but wanting to be financially secure, that's nothing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with that either. Like, I mean, why wouldn't you want it to have to struggle day in and day out? That's not a life. You know,
they've convinced, and when I say they, I mean our governments and rich people and corporations have convinced people who are not rich that they don't deserve to be rich. It doesn't matter how hard you work. You don't deserve this, when you're never going to get it.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
They have them convinced that they don't deserve it, and they also have them convinced that they can work hard and earn it.
Right.
And neither of those things is true.
True. Right. They're not true. Yeah.
Not at all.
A lot of money's made off of, like, just fooling people, tricking people. That's where a lot of money is being made. Just to make you believe a certain thing, you know. And I'll say this kind of like to stem away from that, but what made me kind of appreciate my relationship to money a little more is this here. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and I don't really need an answer, but I'm gonna ask you a question.
It's rhetorical, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
What gives money, your physical dollar, what gives it value?
Oh, Walter loves this question.
Yeah, what gives $100 bill actual value, right? So, and it used to be the gold standard, right? Then they took away the gold standard. But even before the gold standard, what made them feel like you could tie up gold, this precious metal, to this paper, right? But now you think about, if the person that found the gold and said, this is so beautiful, it's worth this, found the piece of shit instead and said, hey, this piece of shit is so great, we would be worshiping, or not really worshiping, we would be like putting,
we would be like trading shit. We're like, well, I make this every day.
Exactly.
We'd be eating all the fatty foods.
Right. So my thing is, the value of money is up here.
This is what he says.
Like, they tricked us to believe, like, hey, $100,000 is worth this kind of house. Is it really? You know, is it really? So, but when I came to that realization where money's nothing, like honestly, money's nothing. Like it's not like it's just paper that we attach a value to.
Yep.
That allowed me to play the money game a little easier. Like
Yeah.
it took the pressure off of money, money, money. It's
Right.
value, right? That's what we're talking about. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a kind of question of the day. But honestly, the answer to that question is currency. What gives value to currency is other countries' currency. So what gives the American dollar value is what it's worth compared to like a Canadian dollar. That's it.
Right.
Like that's completely it. Like that's so stupid, right? That's the
Right.
only thing that gives money today value is what it's compared to another country's rubles or whatever, right? Like
Right.
yens. That's the only thing that gives money value now. So when you look at it all like that, it's just like ultimately money has no value. We give it value.
We give value by
So
how we treat it. Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. Walter says the only thing that gives money value is your own perception of it. It has no inherent value whatsoever.
Very true, my man. Very true.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah, so if we think of it that way and remember that we are absolutely deserving of a piece of the pie. You deserve a piece of the pie just like anybody else.
And there's enough pie for everybody.
There's enough pie.
Just saying.
Yeah.
There's enough pie. Yeah, so consider other avenues, because if you're working for somebody else, you know, that's not your company, and like they value their company. I mean, they probably value their people too. Hopefully some of them do, but they value their company, and their company is going to come first. And that means that you're not necessarily going to get rich in that company. So you're not necessarily going to get rich owning your own company either, but this is a good idea to consider. But definitely definitely the education piece is so important with anything that you do. You said that thing, what'd you say? Don't invest more than you can lose. I say that about cannabis all the time. Don't take with you more than you can lose.
Right.
If you can't afford to lose that at the party, because the security took it out of your suitcase at the
right.
You can't afford to lose it. If you
Yeah.
can't afford to lose it, because what was her name? Oh, what was her name? Takes it from you at the concert venue and throws it in the trash when she could. Oh, Shauna. Oh, girl. Shauna, you should have taken those mushrooms, girl, because you could have used them more than we could have.
I think she did. I think she pocketed those bitches.
Nah, she threw them in the trash.
Damn.
She was militant as fuck.
Wow.
She ripped a can out of the guy's hand on the second night we were there.
Damn.
Yeah, because he wouldn't throw it. He wasn't even out the gate yet. He was still in the venue. He was standing by the recycling, and she ripped it out of his hand, threw in the recycling, and pushed him out. And I was like, girl, you better be glad you didn't put your hands on me. We'd have a lawsuit right here.
Right.
Don't think I wouldn't come back here. I will own this venue. All because of you, Shauna. Oh, man.
Yeah,
I think some people out
earlier that it is you have to work for what you want, and
yeah,
whatever way that means for you. Yeah, so people work in different ways.
Yes.
Right.
I think this is
all the time.
Yeah, a comment that we have. I think some people out there think the world owes them a living, but you also have to work for what you want. It's not easy. Sometimes it is easy, though. I mean, sometimes you invest in the right stock, and then that's your job.
Right. Very true.
And that's how you make your money.
Very true. Very true.
Not telling you guys to go out and quit your jobs today, but I am telling you that maybe if this is something that you think that you could focus on a little bit, give a couple minutes a day to, educate yourself and consider a different avenue, because honestly, this conversation is so important. I think we should have it again later in the year, honestly, because the world is not going to stop changing. And your hourly wage is not going to continue to pay your rent.
Right. Very true.
So there has to be other things, and not all of us are built for OnlyFans. So
right. What is this about NFTs? I'm like, I've even done the
yeah.
Google.
Do you know, like, what do you know about NFTs and crypto and all that? I don't know anything about any of that.
So I know a decent amount about cryptos. NFTs are new. Like I don't understand NFTs. Not saying that they don't have value. They're definitely the future. Just like any new technology or any new method to make money, they will make money. So I would say, even for
They
myself,
have.
it behooves us all to learn more about NFTs. I've been so busy with everything else. I haven't sat down and actually went through my whole method of learning something new when it comes to investing. But I will definitely learn it. I think the NFTs kind of go with me on this one. I feel like the NFTs are setting us up for something that's going to have major value 10 to 15 years from now. And when I say major value, we're talking like legitimate virtual realities, like the metaverse, like that people can actually buy homes, buy cars, buy whatever
We're
you
gonna be
want,
living
have
in the
ownership
Matrix.
in these like virtual worlds. I
Like
feel
the
like
Matrix.
right, exactly. I honestly, I feel like you can buy an NFT now, and in some weird form of fashion, in 5 years in a virtual world, you'll be able to sell that NFT for real.
What? That's crazy.
Sorry,
Like
my
someone
phone
said
is
to me,
ringing,
pointed
and
at
it's probably gonna mess up my
our stuff
volume.
and said, "You guys could do an NFT with this," and I was like, "Huh?"
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't hear you now. This is what happened last time.
Oh no.
So hopefully, let me end this call and see if it'll actually pick back up.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
see, I can't hear you. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no.
I don't know what happened, but I can get out and get right back on.
Okay, yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, do that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand NFTs. Like it's like digital art or digital
It's digital currency. Most of the things that I've heard about are
through art though, right? It's like a like
well,
it's
I don't know. That's the most that I have heard it associated with is art. But when I
yeah.
was Googling, it was saying about that it's just a form of currency and X, Y, and Z and da 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 da's that I was like,
Yeah, the NFTs are it's like how crypto was back in say 2014, where cryptocurrency was like monopoly. This is fake money. But no,
It's all
crypto is
fake
the real
money.
thing. Like it's digital money. But as this world progresses, it's all about how quick can you transfer money from one person to another. That's why cryptocurrency is important, because you can send $100,000 to my brother, say that's vacation in the Netherlands, in seconds, versus having to say, okay, I'm going to send it to your bank, or I'm going to Western Union it, and they're going to like that's
They're gonna
where
sit on it for 3
cryptos.
days.
Yeah, like cryptos definitely play a huge role into where the future of money and finance is going. And being able to learn more and more about that, I feel like it would benefit everybody. We're gonna have a digital wallet and we're gonna have a physical wallet. I really feel like that's where the world is taking us. Like it's no
I
way
agree.
around it. Now
Yeah.
NFTs, they're gonna be for a certain group of people that's really into that, like that virtual reality. I feel like that's where the NFTs are going to have their most value, is in those metaverses and things of that nature. And I'm definitely going to learn about it, and I'm going to
We're
capitalize
gonna
on
have to turn
"Wow,
ourselves into
that's
virtual reality like characters. We're just gonna have to turn ourselves, then
Hey,
do
it's
the
going to be a
show.
real thing. That sounds so crazy, but we're not too far away from that happening.
I
like
know
legit.
everybody that comes in gets like a digital makeover and an avatar, and that's how
Yeah,
it's gonna work.
yeah, yeah.
That's crazy talk, man.
So,
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I don't know. That's so yeah."
That feels overwhelming, but
just smoke some weed, it'll be okay.
yeah, I know. Like just it's fine. We're still gonna have weed with cryptocurrencies, so I think we're all gonna be fine.
Right.
Um it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on yet again, as always.
Yes.
Is there any last little tidbits that you want to share before we
Thank you.
wrap up?
My phone just rang again. I apologize. I can't hear
Okay.
again.
Oh
Oh,
no.
that too.
1 second.
Okay. Okay. Tell them not to call him.
That's what mine does all the time. That's exactly why
I know. Remember that day that it happened and you turned the whole show off?
I just ended the whole show.
We'll have him back to talk about any little tidbits. If you guys have any last minute questions for Zach before we wrap up the show, please put them in the comment section. Did you have any last minute tidbits that you wanted to share before we wrap it up?
I did have a few different, like a few stock symbols that I did like kind of jot down.
Yes.
Just because I know people, they want to know the symbols, they want to know right now in the cannabis sector. Right now, the cannabis sector is not seeing anything great. They're actually getting pretty slaughtered right now. The cannabis sector is not a great place to put money right now. But that depends on how you look at it. I understand that the cannabis sector as a bigger conglomerate is in the growth sector of this industry.
Yes.
So this may be actually an ideal time to put money in trusted companies and just kind of ride their wave with them, because after the pandemic, they never really truly recovered like a lot of these companies after the pandemic, kind of like, made through our adjustments. So you still can get some of these companies at a pretty good value. So Cresco Labs is one of them.
Okay, yeah.
Now, if you're looking to ETFs or exchange traded funds, so they kind of where you can kind of buy a bunch of cannabis companies, related companies in one purchase, right?
Okay.
So you have a ETF fund named MJ. That's the symbol, is MJ. It stands for Alternative Harvest ETF. But it has like some of the top cannabis companies within that fund, so you can kind of buy those ETFs and be pretty much buying into all of those particular companies.
Okay.
And then one of my favorite companies is actually IIPR. I've been talking about IIPR. That's the symbol for a long time, for years. And I've seen nothing but consistent returns because they have a pretty sweet spot. What they do is they'll build up these facilities for people, and then they'll have a company, pretty much the company that wants the facility will pay them to build the facility out, and then they'll come back and just rent the facility from IIPR. So
that's
it's
kind
like,
of
it's
genius.
really, it's like they have a great concept.
Yeah, they do.
But they've constantly just gained, and they're one of the higher buy-ins. Like they're trading at about $180 a share, right? But those are some of the companies that I feel like have because they're one of the few profitable, meaning they're turning a profit every year. Cannabis companies, and that's because they're tied to properties, real estate. So IIPR is definitely one of a strong play, where I feel like they can be a heavy hitter. Because it's still new, and they're going to continue to use this business model as the industry becomes more legal and state legal. So they'll have properties in all the states across the United States, and then they'll just be a force to be reckoned with overall. $183 10 years from now, they'll probably be worth $2,000 a share. Who knows? But they have a lot of room to grow. And things like general grow generation, which they're focused on hydroponic stores.
Yeah.
So we look at it like that on the equipment, the supplies. Like who got rich in the gold rush?
Right.
It was the actual.
It's the people with the shovels.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So having that play on the stock is like, I'm going to go with the suppliers to the bigger guys. I'm going to invest in them. And so that's another, I would say, way to get in and get some ownership within the cannabis sector and industry. But those are like a few of the tips that I have. And just don't bite off more than you can chew. Do your due diligence, and just try to have fun with it, but learn as you grow.
Learn as you grow. Set your limits. Stick with your limits too. Don't like, oh, I set this limit, but I could go a little over, because that's greedy. That's gonna get you in trouble.
Write it down.
Write it down. Have a plan. All very good tips. You are amazing. You're an amazing guest, as always.
Well, thank you for having me again.
When you are have gotten through your study method of NFTs, I want to bring you back and have that conversation. Our listeners loved it. They've eaten it up. You guys are going to want to watch that on the playback to take all those good notes.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of our people follow. Do the follow.
Tell us where we can find you.
Okay, yeah. So you can find Elite Home Growers Academy on Instagram and Facebook at Elite Home Growers. And or you could just Google search Elite Home Growers Academy, and that'll give you the address, the website, all the information to reach out to us. Or our website is elitehg.org. So yeah, those are the ways that you can kind of keep up with all the cool stuff that we got going on at Elite.
Nice. And where are you located?
St. Louis, Missouri.
You are in St. Louis. I was like, is he in Kansas City or St. Louis? And I couldn't remember which one because
Yep,
we go
yep.
to both all the time, you know?
Right, right. When are you coming back to St. Louis? Do you know?
Soon, actually. Soon.
Oh,
We're
cool.
doing a product launch. Hopefully
Really?
yeah, so we're gonna handle all the little bits
Nah.
tomorrow.
But you definitely got to let me know so we can link up.
Yeah, so we're gonna be working with Josh Loyal,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, we've got our own line. So we got 3 flavors, and
Right.
it's Queen Kitty Seltzer is gonna be our woman owned and operated.
Wow, that's big. That's big.
Yeah, super excited about it.
You should.
So yeah, I have to come pick up the supplies once we have everything labeled.
Got
I
it.
have to come do a supply pickup. I am the distribution and delivery driver.
Nice, nice, nice. That's so cool. So yeah,
Because
definitely.
running your own business is so much fun.
Right, right. You have to do everything.
Everything. You wear
Everything.
all the hats, right? She's
Yeah.
the artist. And even though she's not as well versed in digital design, also our digital designer in our art department. And yeah, so we wear all the hats, you know.
We're our own marketers. We're our own.
Gotta be. You gotta be. Who else can do it for us?
Right.
Yeah. So
People who want our made up money.
Startup. Yep.
But it will pay off.
It
It
will.
definitely will pay off. That's one thing I really feel like after becoming an entrepreneur, that's when I really became like I start to really live.
Yeah.
Like where I express like all of my emotions. You know, when you work for corporate America, you have like a few emotions that you constantly replay and replay. But as an
Yeah, you're like
entrepreneur,
this.
I have all of them. I
Yeah.
experience all of them in the same day, like happy,
Same.
sad, depressed,
Same.
like it's just like
what is wrong with me? Why am I crying?
right. It's a wild ride, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't have it any other way. You know, wouldn't have it
Yeah.
any other way.
No, it's we're gonna look back on those moments and ha ha cackle like the witches that we are. If you guys love hanging out with us here on the Cannabis Closet podcast, then you will definitely love our morning chats over in Discord. So go ahead and click that link. If for some reason it doesn't work, hit us up in the email. We'll send you a brand new link all for yourself. Join us in Discord if you haven't already. An error occurred on Facebook. So sorry, it's not coming through on Facebook, but we'll get it to you if you want it. Join us in Discord. The only rule is treat humans like humans. If you are an asshole, we will kick you out. Don't be mean to other people. Don't be a bigot. We will not tolerate it. With that said, we are at the end of our show. Again, thank you so much for coming on. You have educated us beyond. I mean,
No problem.
We're
No
so
problem.
excited to watch. Do you do financial education still, or you're just the home grow?
Yeah, I haven't done a class, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't done a investing class maybe in about 3 months. But it's not off. It's not because I don't want to do it. I actually love teaching the investing class.
Yeah,
We have so much stuff on our plate right now. It's hard to
understood.
squeeze it in there. But I'm definitely fighting to get them back on a regular basis and do some virtual stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love teaching people about investing, properly investing. So yeah, so you'll definitely hear more about our investing classes.
Honestly, let's I'm putting together my Zoom platform for the responsible vendor training that we're going to be doing here in Colorado. But
Yep.
let's talk about maybe doing like a collab of like an investment piece. Like if you
I'm
sign
definitely
up,
with it.
you know, whatever we can do. Like yeah, so let's talk about doing something like that. And
That is so cool.
or even if somebody wanted to like buy an add-on class, like if you purchase this and you want to buy an add-on class to a grower class online or an
That would be
academy
sweet.
academy class online. Like, let's do some cross promotion and work that out. Let me get my Zoom platform together and stuff.
Definitely. Let me know when you're ready. I'm ready to roll.
For sure. Listen, I like keeping the money in the family. I like sharing and I like growing with the people that I enjoy being around. So I definitely
we're practicing what we preach about community.
Yeah. We want to build a community. We definitely do.
Build each other up.
Exactly.
I gotta turn my machine back on so I can take the last hit of the day.
Nice.
Yes.
Don't worry, you guys. He grows it and smokes it. He's at home with his family right now.
Right, exactly.
So y'all don't be judging.
I'm in my home office, so I can't.
Y'all don't be judgmental. He's gonna go take a puff in his garage when we get off.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I'm all clogged again.
Next time I'll make sure I'm in a smoker friendly location where I can light up a fatty.
Yeah, with no judgments here. So you guys just make sure you be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. Put your mask on before assisting others. It's very, very important. It's very important.
Yeah, cultivate love. You deserve it. I got my shirt on today. Cultivate love.
Oh yeah.
Love it. And stay lifted, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday. We're gonna have guest main ingredient on to talk about their edibles, and we are super excited. Another individual out of Missouri, of course, because it's banging out there. Y'all got some stuff going on, so be sure to tune in on Wednesday for Wednesday's show. We will see you then, 4:20 Mountain Standard Time, and every Monday and Wednesday. And we love you guys. Stay lifted as always.